I have been waiting to put these parts into a keyboard for 4 months. They've just been sitting here, and I've had no board to call home. Until today. Because today, we'll be taking a look at the brand new Zoom TKL. Was it worth the group buy period? Was it worth the wait?
This keyboard was created and designed by Mellitrix, the same company who brought the Zoom 65 onto the scene. It was announced back in September of 2022 with a starting price of $179. For that price, you were getting a nano-coated aluminum case, a 1.2mm wireless PCB with ambient lighting, plenty of foam options, an aluminum or polycarbonate plate, a glass or stainless steel back piece, a carrying case, and stabilizers with a USB-C cable. That's quite the bargain in the keyboard hobby for a custom TKL that comes with all those glass back options and cool features. They're able to do this and provide a high quality product at the low price as the sister company to the more well-known Wuche Studios, who made keyboards like the Tata 80, the Mammoth 75, and the Icky 68 Aurora.
So this video is going to be a bit of a mix of beginner friendly and also not beginner friendly, because there's some stuff I'm not going to really cover that much, but there is some stuff I will explain that I encountered in my personal journey with getting this keyboard, such as the group buy experience. This keyboard entered group buy in November, gave my hard-earned cash the first day it was available, because I wanted those Corgi keycaps, which are coming to me soon, by the way. I don't have them yet because they haven't shipped them yet. Mellitrix, or Wuche Studios, is their parent company. They're pretty known in the community for some pretty good keyboards. They made the Zoom 65. This is Mellitrix's second foray into keyboards, so they're pretty well known, and they have a good reputation in the community for reliable keyboards. And I saw the reviews come out for the Zoom TKL and said, okay, I'd like a TKL. Let's go in. A group buy is essentially when you give a vendor or a company your money, and they will go and make the product that they've advertised. So like streamers will have a prototype of a keyboard, and they'll be like, oh, this enters group buy next week. You give them money and they'll make that keyboard and send it to you. Now this is a bit of a process, considering that these keyboards are not on the shelf ready to grab and send to you. They have to be made. Despite choosing the faster shipping, it was about 4 months of wait. This is actually my second group buy. My first one is still yet to come, but it's on the ship on its way to America now. But wow, group buys are crazy. I would spend many days just opening and closing Discord to see if there was any updates on the keyboards. Mellitrix is pretty okay with their updates. I'd say they gave maybe about 4 updates in total about this keyboard while it was in production, maybe 2 while it was actually being made at the factory. So, and their customer service is pretty good. They respond to people on Discord about their issues and whatever. I don't know if I do another group buy, simply because sometimes may be either unreliable, because sometimes there may be quality control issues with the keyboards that weren't really present when they were doing the prototypes, and they might run into issues. And just in general, just like, kind of sucks to have your money taken away for some time and waiting for someone to make it. However, there are benefits to a group buy. You kind of join a community of people waiting, and sometimes it could be annoying to have everybody be like, oh my god, where's my thing, when it was like a day after the group buy. But it kind of forms like a community of like solidarity about these keyboards. It's really interesting. And also just teaches you patience. It does teach you patience, for sure. And the day when the keyboard comes feels pretty good. Like today felt pretty good. This keyboard, including air shipping, came up to about $224, I think. I could be wrong. I'll put the price on the screen. Yeah, let's actually get into building this board.
Inside the box that arrived came 2 boxes. One housing the keyboard and the other housing the back plate. I chose the white case with the silver stainless steel back piece. Normally stainless steel back weights are an extra cost, but they somehow managed to avoid that with this board, which is pretty nice. Inside the box with the keyboard, we got the case itself, the PCB, the foams, the screws, the USB-C coiled cable, and Wuche Studios stabilizers. These stabs are interesting, as they come sort of wrapped already, maybe to try and do some type of heat shrink mod to the wires, so we'll see how this turns out in practice. Now onto the board itself. Again, it is a 1.2mm PCB with flex cuts, and with Bluetooth and ambient lighting on the sides. we have the polycarbonate plate with no stainless steel weight insert. The nano coating on the case feels pretty smooth, with very minor inconsistencies or scratches on it. The finishing to the PVD is pretty good too, but we'll talk more about that later. Build time. First, assemble your stabilizers. And through this process, I realized I hate stabilizers. They're very finicky to get the sound just right, and it takes a lot of work. But hey, this process is pretty worth it. Or at least that's what I tell myself to justify my decisions in life. Next, the plate and switches. Now, I had the hardest time putting the switches into the plate without foam or any kind of support. Because this plate is very flexy, you'd have to support the switches as they go in so they don't snap out of place, but without foam I had no support at all. So I added the plate foam and put in my switches. A tough choice, but maybe it'll add some body to the sound. This was the only foam I put in the board. Then I installed the gaskets into this board, which is actually a new type seen in the Promise TKL that Wuche made a little earlier in the year. They use these gasket sleeves that slide onto the plate, which allow the plate to flex and makes the typing experience more comfortable. These just slide right onto the plate, super simple. Finally, I put the PCB in the case, dropped the battery in the slot, plugged everything in, and screwed it all together. And that's it! I built this with OTC Moto Light keycaps for the first build, and I thought this board looked pretty good. Let's see how it sounds. Okay, I think this is a little quiet and it needs a little more character. I was honestly disappointed in this first build. Gateron Oil Kings, in my previous experience, were a loud and thocky switch, so why were they so quiet here? I switched the keycaps out for some GMK Honor Dark, hoping that would change my thoughts. Okay, that's better. I was liking the board a lot more now. However, I still thought it was a bit quiet. So I performed a revolutionary mod to the keyboard, the tempest/tape mod. Now I know some people will say that taping the whole PCB adds more of a tape sound than the keyboard, which what is that? But I didn't really care at this point. I just wanted freedom. Please. So I just taped it up, and this is how it sounds. Now this is freedom. I really like how the board sounds in this configuration, even if it's still quiet. I think the board lends itself to a more clacky experience, and maybe I would have had a louder experience with the aluminum plate. However, this board is nice and flexy and offers a nice typing experience. The side lighting is super cool too, and I like the option I ended on.
Alright, so it's been a couple days with the board, and let me give you my thoughts on the entire experience. Build process was pretty good. They had a build guide online that showed me what to do. While the build guide was detailed, I don't know if it was like because it was detailing like an assembled version already, but it's not how the board comes already. The board comes disassembled completely. You have to put the back plate on. There's no stainless steel weight for everybody. I did not have the stainless steel weight, stuff like that. It doesn't show you how to put in the standoffs for the plate and the PCB because I was having a dang hard time putting in the polycarbonate plate without any standoffs, and I actually had to use the plate foam in order to get the switches in at all. I literally couldn't get them in without that plate foam. You could probably see it in the video. It's a bit tough, but other than that, I mean, build was pretty solid. It went pretty well, I'd say. Considering I hadn't built a board in over like 4 months, so it was pretty neat. As for the entire experience of using this keyboard, the Bluetooth is pretty good, despite it being an aluminum keyboard. There's usually issues with using aluminum to build a wireless keyboard, but Wuche Studios or Melitrix have clearly gotten that sorted out because the Bluetooth works pretty good, in my opinion. The experience of typing on it is nice. You just saw the lights go on in the Bluetooth mode. It's nice and soft. I wouldn't say it's very ultra flexible. So as you saw in the video, I put tape on the back of the PCB in order to stiffen it a little bit, but also control some of the sound because I wanted a louder experience because I thought the board was pretty quiet. And I still kind of do think it's quiet. And it might be due to those flex cuts. It might be due to the thin PCB. It might just be due to the parts I picked, but I kind of feel Gateron Oil Kings are a little bit of a louder switch in most of the boards I build. So it was interesting to see how quiet they got. And not only quiet, but how clacky they are. I don't think this board is very quote unquote thocky. I think this board leans more to that higher frequency or like the clackier, sharper tones than the deeper, more cavernous tones of Thok. But that's not to say I don't love this sound, because I'm actually like enamored with this sound. And if this is what this sounds like, I wonder what more high-end TKLs like a Cloudline would sound like, or even like I just want to know like stuff like what does the QK80 sound like in comparison to this. But yeah, it's a nice clacky bouncy typing experience. I originally had OTC Moto Lite on there and I bought those keycaps for this board. However, the PBT wasn't hitting it, and the deeper sound that comes from PBT wasn't aiding to the fact that this board, I feel, and I'm finding, leans towards that clackier sound signature. So it wasn't really a good mix. And once I put on the GMK keycaps, that's where this keyboard started to shine. And I was like, okay, this keyboard, wow, okay. I was saying that in the Discord server for this board, people were saying that when they got their stainless steel weights, they encountered like circles on the stainless steel PVD back. Now, when I was unboxing it and getting everything ready for it, I was like, there doesn't seem to be anything. But then I held it up to like studio lights, and there are definitely circular scratches straight from Melitrix. It's not the biggest deal. Like when I'm holding it up here, I really don't notice, but like when I put a light on it directly, you can see it in several places. And to also say that the PVD, even when I put the feet on, I think it's kind of easily scratched. I could be wrong, but this is also a mirror finish. Like, what did I expect, to be honest? But yeah, those circular scratches are there. So if you're looking for like a very perfect, like 10 out of 10 PVD, this might not be the keyboard for that. But I will say the finish is nice. It's literally mirror. So I can't really complain too much. It's got this nice like angled piece that's kind of like a Toblerone. So the price to performance is pretty great, if I'm gonna be honest. Like looking at this keyboard, to get it to me, and I chose like the most like the fastest shipping option as an air shipping because I just wanted to get it so I can make content on it early. This keyboard I'd say is like about 180, like just straight from Melitrix, no like air shipping or anything. And like when you compare this to like a GMMK Pro, no, I want this. This is so nice compared to something like a GMMK Pro. Now, not to say that GMMK Pro is a bad keyboard. I just think that this does what the GMMK Pro or something like it tries to do, but like with a little more class and pizzazz. So if I were to choose something like a GMMK Pro or Keychron over this, I would honestly choose this over something like those two options. And those two options are, again, not bad keyboards. In fact, the Q1 and the GMMK Pro at the time like kind of blew up the hobby when they came out. But I think stuff like this and having more readily accessible stuff like this keyboard and the QK80, all the QK boards, all the Melitrix boards, all those kinds of boards, the JRIS boards that are coming out now, having those options really make those keyboards a bit of a harder bargain. It's quite crazy that we have companies like Melitrix and CannonKeys and JRIS that are able to provide this level at that price point. It really is quite amazing, and it's awesome to see that the hobby's progressed to a point like this. Would I do a group buy again? I'd have to kind of answer this question completely in the next video I do about keyboards, which should be like maybe in a month or so. Who knows when I'll get that second mystery board. If the board is better than the two boards I'll get. If the board has something that I'm really interested in or something that catches my interest, I might consider doing the group buy. And it'll also depend on how long that group buy process is. If the board has something interesting that I'm really interested in, CannonKeys, you can send me that QK80. I will do as much content on that QK80 as you want. I think that thing looks beautiful, and I want to compare this to the, please. I just want to see it. So yeah, that is my experience with the Zoom TKL. Overall, I think this keyboard is quite a beaut. Honestly, I really enjoy this keyboard. I think this will be replacing my ACO ACR Alice Pro as my daily driver from now on, just because I love the look. And it's actually smaller than my ACO. But yeah, I love this look. I love the keyboard. I love the features it's got. I love the feel. I love the sound. And so honestly, I couldn't really complain for more. Melitrix, you did a pretty banging job. Things I'd love to see improved, maybe in an R2, is more compatibility for the PCB options, you know, to have that wind keyless or the Sangan bottom row that people want to see. The battery in here, this does not pass the shake test. The battery is pretty loose in here. So maybe find a way to put that, like solidify that down in the case. But it's really nice that they include that like out the jump. You don't have to buy that. And I love the options you guys already have for like carbon fiber, all the glass plate options. It's really awesome to see that. So I'm really a fan of this Zoom TKL. If you're hesitant on buying one, in fact, I think Keeps for All actually still has some pre-orders live that you'll probably get your board around in April, which is a bit of a wait, but it's not too bad actually when you compare it to the rest of the group buy process. So do I recommend the Zoom TKL? Absolutely. If it's your first foray into custom mechanical keyboards, this is a perfect first choice. And if you're interested in TKLs, it's a good pick. If you have more top of the line options, I'd say probably stick with those. But if you're interested in something that looks like this, sounds like this, is like this, I recommend getting the Zoom TKL. But CannonKeys, please sponsor me so we could get that QK80. That'd be great. I will join that group buy. So yeah, I really like the Zoom TKL. And that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did like the video, like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys when I get my next keyboard, the mystery keyboard, in about like probably another month. So yeah. All right. Take care, guys. Have a good one.